Okay, here I am again talking about a conspiracy against rights under the color of law and who is sworn to prosecute and sue on your behalf. My last video, but it was just some music in the background, me scrolling through some agencies that are sworn to prosecute and sue on your behalf, and there was some music behind it. And like I said, I've been at this a long time. See, I actually had to go. I used to write to them in the 80s, some of my complaints, I actually found their addresses and where to write in the yellow or the white pages. White pages, yellow pages, that was before the internet, in the 80s. But I used to love to read, and, I wanted to find out where the ARDC was because I lost some of my paperwork to the address. And, let me see if it's in the phone book. And it was in the back. But anyways, I went down there to the FBI and I went over a lot of laws with them, so they forwarded it to the Department of Justice, and I've been waiting. Whoa, it's a long time ago, July 8th, 1992. And I actually started throwing stuff at them in late 79. But see, I amended this for you, okay? Now, mind you, this is me just combining a bunch of words, a bunch of laws that I posted about, okay? A lot of my videos, it's just me explaining a legal term. I explained a conspiracy against rights under the color of law. That's a legal term and forbidden by federal law. I explained to you ineffective assistance of counsel, judicial misconduct, reporting misconduct, mandatory. I go. Each video is just explaining to you a legal term that you hear all the time. You just don't know it's law. Okay, and it's a mandatory. This is behind the oath. Okay, so everybody that took the oath is required to make sure this happens. Okay, so let's go over this, all right? This is your constitutional rights, your birthrights as United States citizens, which makes all public servants, it makes it their constitutional duty, What I'm doing is, when I read the Constitution, I first read it when I was 10. My older sister had to take it to graduate to 8th grade to go into high school, and she taught me how to read and write before I started school. When she started learning to read and write, she started teaching me. Well, all of us. There was 6 of us at the time when she started, and then came number 7, the oops baby, the one that came several years down the line. But anyways, by the time I started school, I could read and write, and it just took off. And when I read the Declaration of Independence, I had to find out what this due process thing was, the meaning behind everything that was in there. And that's what set me on my journey in finding out all this different stuff, okay? So let's go over a bunch of words from a bunch of videos that I posted all over the internet, okay? This is I've been telling people, this is just a play of words, okay? And the play of words was I took a whole bunch of those videos and just took the titles of each of those videos, because those titles, that's just like a word, and then the video is the definition. It's like opening a dictionary, except for instead of you reading it, I'm reading it to you, encouraging you to look it up and read it yourself. Okay, that's what I'm doing. All right, so anyways, as a kid, when I read the Constitution and, then I realized what the Pledge of Allegiance was about, and, when I took the Pledge of Allegiance, it wasn't just to a flag, but to what it represents, the Constitution, It's pretty easy to understand that I was pledging allegiance to we the people, you know, those that, public servants took the oath to serve and protect. So this is you telling them to preserve and protect your ass. Okay. Okay, but legally, legally. Conspiracy against rights under the color of law. You can copy and paste this on any of your complaints, okay? Conspiracy against rights under the color of law. The judge failed to report my counsel and the opposing party for multiple counts of misconduct and themselves for judicial misconduct. The opposing party failed to report the judge for judicial misconduct, my counsel for ineffective assistance of counsel and themselves for misconduct. My counsel failed to report the judge for judicial misconduct, the opposing party for misconduct, and themselves for ineffective assistance of counsel. Reporting misconduct is mandatory in both the rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct. Failure to report misconduct is misconduct, as is a failure to enforce one's constitutional duties as prescribed in the rules and the codes. The lack of the requirements of the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution is beyond unethical. The lack of effective assistance to counsel doesn't allow for a fair trial, which shows due process didn't exist. A deprivation of rights in its entirety. It clearly shows the judge and attorneys in my case committed conspiracy against rights under the color of law. The willful deprivation of rights, privileges, of immunities under the color of law don't exist. It prohibits conspiracies to injure, oppose, threaten, or intimidate any person in the free exercise and enjoyment or any right or privilege secured by the Constitution or laws of the United States. I trust you will live up to your oath. Remember, there's penalties for violating the oath. And then I throw rules at them from the rules of professional conduct. These are laws. The rules of professional conduct are laws. Okay, rule 1.1, 1.3. I trust you will live up to the oath and show competence, diligence in expediting litigation as I have meritorious claims and contentions. I strongly stress reporting professional misconduct and maintaining the integrity of the profession. I trust communications will be made for ethical violations and every penalty will be imposed in the public interest as trustees. This is how to maintain the public trust. Failure to do so would add to this conspiracy against rights under the color of law. An interest of justice dismissal with prejudice is legally required, as is inciting the RICO Act. Okay, so that's just a combination of a bunch of laws, okay? That, you'll find these are a bunch of titles from my videos that I just threw together. That's my play with words. And remember, you can hold me to the letter of the law on this as I will you in any court of law. Because violating the letter of the law has stiff penalties, fines, removal of public service, and incarceration. Any judge or lawyer, ask them. For them to tell you otherwise, that would be disinformation. There's penalties for disinformation. And I did a video on that, That's violating the oath. Penalties for violating the oath. That's violating the rule of law. Penalties for violating the rule of law. Okay, so I did a video. I think this goes to the video. Want me to? Money talks. Money talks. Yeah, that goes to the video. Okay. Okay, let's go here. That's just showing you all the all the places you can file a complaint for. A lot of times people ask me, well, where do I file a complaint? All of these goddamn places, goddamn it. File a conspiracy against rights under the color of law complaint. Use online portals or forms from the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, the FBI Civil Rights page, or your state's Attorney General, or your U.S. Attorney General. Providing detailed accounts of official misusing power, color of law to violate constitutional rights, including dates, locations, and specific actions, often using forms like the DOJ's General Civil Rights Complaint or federal court forms for legal action. Okay, so U.S. Department of Homeland Security for complaints involving DHS personnel activities, like deprivation of rights. You have a right to due process. The Constitution guarantees anybody charged with a crime in the United States and its territories guaranteed due process, citizen or not. Okay, so there's no question about that. Interpreting otherwise is violation of the letter of the law, which is violation of the rule of law, which is a violation of the oath, which is disinformation. Okay, so that's what I go over in a lot of my videos with me. Okay, U.S. courts use form like non-prisoner complaint for violation of civil rights. If you intend to file a lawsuit, federal court 42 U.S.C. 1983 claim. Okay, so I'm just giving you a lot of avenues. I've been doing stuff, and they just ignore the crap out of me, and it's like my name's been blackballed on it. But when I put this on paper and other people put their name to it, then stuff happens, Okay, state level, Illinois Attorney General, since we're in Illinois, provides specific forms for reporting state level civil rights violations. Okay, so you don't even need evidence. All you need is that statement, the case number, your name or whoever you're filing for, and then, then who you're charging. And that would be the judge involved in the case, all the lawyers involved in the case, all the lawyers, the ones that supposedly work for you. Because if they haven't gone over the rules of professional conduct with you and explained their legal obligations, every lawyer's legal obligations, every judge's legal obligations to you in a court of law, as stated in the rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct, there's no possible way you can give informed consent, because informed consent requires reasonable knowledge to make an informed decision to give that informed consent. Thus, proving to yourself that you need the legal knowledge that equal to the opposing party, which happens to be your ineffective, defective, destructive assistance of counsel. Besides the actual opposing party, people and the judge. So I squeeze it all in that little statement there, Rights violated, specifically the constitutionality, and I gave it to you. I just see, and there's no way any lawyer can prove that they told you anything I'm telling you, because I wouldn't be telling you and you wouldn't be listening to me, and you wouldn't be looking this up eventually. Hopefully you're looking it up. Okay? But look, remember I told you, see, there's all these different places. So be kind enough, be kind to yourself, give everybody something to do, because you know what, everybody knows it's happening, but they're not going to do nothing unless you file a complaint. Back in my day, in the old days, we used to call that red tape. The only way you're going to get anybody to do their job is go there with their job description, okay? And that's what I gave you. Okay. Federal rights statute. Okay, so, make an issue of your deprivation of rights, that conspiracy against rights under the color of law, an issue with everybody. U.S. Commissions on Civil Rights.gov. Getting Uncle Sam to enforce your civil rights. Okay? Make it an issue with everybody. Don't limit yourself. About the Civil Rights Division, we protect your civil rights through enforcement. We sue or prosecute individuals and organizations who violate your civil rights. Online form. Contact the Department of Justice. Contact information, phone number. Okay, so there are several steps. But okay. There's so many different ways you can do this. Okay. We sue or prosecute. No, they will sue and prosecute. They have to. It's their constitutional duty, and, for anybody to order them not to, that would be accepting illegal orders, and they're legally required, to live up to the oath. And that oath requires refusing unlawful orders. I did a video on that. See, understanding your rights. See, but what I'm doing is telling you, how it's supposed to start. No matter what courtroom you go into, at the very beginning, when you get an attorney, deprivation of rights starts with your attorney not reviewing the rules of professional conduct with you, their legal obligations to you. And then expressing that this is not only their legal obligations to you, but the opposing party's legal obligations to you, and the judge's legal obligations to you. And it's everybody's legal obligations to see to it that all that happens in a court of law. And once you go over it, you'll say, that didn't happen, that didn't happen, that didn't happen. And so I abbreviated it for you, okay? Let's see what that says. Civil Rights Discrimination Complaint Form. Okay. I can't see this small. Complaint consent form. Like I said, remember, informed consent is necessary. And this is Department of Health and Human Services for the Civil Rights. I've been having a lot of medical issues, and that's just simply because I've been denied the help I need. And the doctors keep pushing prescriptions, You'll be okay if you just, do all these drugs. We fix you, you'll lose your handicap status. And I've been telling them for a very long time, I give a shit about losing the handicap status. I want to go for walks. I want to go bike riding. Not motorcycles, I'm talking about regular bikes, pedaling. I used to bike ride a lot. I used to jog, I quit that. And went back to swimming, bike riding, and dancing. I was a dancing fool. But, complaining at the hospitals, about the doctors, abuse. They didn't like it. I got chased out of several hospitals, complaining about them refusing to help me. So maybe together we can fix this all together. Okay. So I'm just showing you. Don't hesitate to file with everybody and anybody possible. Don't pick and choose. Lay your burden on the weight of your public servants. All right? You're beasts of burden. Okay? You're not their beasts of burden. They're yours. Let them carry the weight. Okay, but you got to know what you're talking about. So that's why I made all those videos, teaching you about, that one, a conspiracy against right owner. I read that to you. Judge failed to report misconduct. And the judge is supposed to report misconduct if any violates the rules of professional conduct or the code of judicial conduct, including themselves. And it's not limited to that courtroom itself. Just having any general knowledge, any judge or lawyer having any general knowledge of another lawyer or judge committing misconduct, it's their legal obligation, their constitutional duty to report that misconduct. So don't let them fool you and tell you, well, I'm not involved in that case. And not, if they're violating the rules or the codes, it's their legal obligation to report it. Simple as that. It doesn't mean they have, no. That is, hold them to the letter of the law on that. I always have. Can't violate the letter of the law. And suggesting that law means anything other than what it does is disinformation. There's penalties for disinformation. That would be violating the oath. The oath they took. Remember when we took the Pledge of Allegiance, it was to each other. Not to a government, not to a politician, not to a political party, and definitely not to the corporacy, corporate rule, Wall Street. We didn't pledge of allegiance to any of them. We pledged of allegiance to each other. What they took from one, they took from all. What I talk about me, I talk about we the people. I learned a long time ago, self-loathing is disrespect not of oneself, but of the Lord and how you were created. Regardless of how you were created, it was in His infinite wisdom that made you who you are, what you are. Enjoy that and express that nation of laws where it is said that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Amongst these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This is what it's about. This is apolitical. Apolitical AF. Being constitutionally correct. That's all I'm doing. My grandfather, World War II vet, we love the Constitution. Always thought it was important that everybody obey the law. My dad was a stickler for the law. Break the law, you won't have any problems. I used to have a lot of problems with the law, and he didn't understand. The only reason I was having problems with the law is a lot of people were breaking the law to make me look like I was a problem. And the only problem to them was I wasn't one of them. But you'd have to have been born in the 60s to understand how difficult it was being me. Trying to enjoy my life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Still fighting for that. And so are you. You just don't know it. Simply because you're living under the color of law. You just don't have the education to understand what you need to know to get out of it. And that's what I'm trying to supply you with. You know, you don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. And I'm doing my best to make this as easy as possible on you. And nobody can contradict any of this. Take me to court. I'll hold you to the letter of the law as you should I in every court of law. God bless. Good night, people. Nothing but love for you. You know, when it comes to we, the people, you inspire me. You always have. I always hold my pledge of allegiance to you, near and dear. When it comes to the Constitution, the contact of my character makes we the people the content of my heart. And there, you live forever on many, many pieces of my heart. But peace and love for you. Good night.